And as I mentioned before, we're going to have Frank Paskewich from Clean Golf Associates start us off, and then again, Mike Drew so graciously offered to give us a 10 to 15 minute talk on source control after. So to get started, we'll start with Frank, and he has served as the president of the Clean Golf Associates Incorporated since 2007. It is a nonprofit cooperative that provides oil spill response resources to 97 exploration and production companies operating in the Gulf of Mexico. Prior to this position, he served in the U.S. Coast Guard for 26 years, retiring at the rank of captain. He's a graduate of the Coast Guard Academy, and he also holds a master's degree in naval architecture and marine engineering and mechanical engineering from the University of Michigan, and is a licensed professional engineer. So without further ado, Frank.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. It's a real honor to be here today. I know a lot of you know a lot about Clean Golf, but hopefully there's a few of you out there who don't know about Clean Golf. We have changed significantly over the last 7 years, and so this will at least get you up to speed with respect to what Clean Golf has done. For starters, we've been around a long time, since 1972, started with 33 operators. We are dedicated to the exploration and production industry in the Gulf of Mexico. We're a 501c6 nonprofit organization, so we essentially cater just down here for the exploration and production industry, but we do get involved in other incidents for other types of industries. And I would say that we have a wide variety of equipment. And what I like to say about Clean Golf is we are kind of where the rubber meets the road. While planning and preparedness and practice is all good, ultimately the success of a response comes to have we performed well in what we do. So we take that very, very seriously. I can tell you your government agencies also take it seriously and hold us very accountable as they're routinely down our way. So what I want to do is sort of paint a picture for you. This is actually a pretty good depiction of what a spill could look like, starting from offshore and what you need to be able to combat that oil spill. We term it as a layered response. We need to be able to fight the oil offshore at the source, in the near shore environment, and on the shoreline, close to shore. So if Clean Golf rolled everything in its inventory, we would have 55 vessels underway all at the same time for the big one. So this kind of paints the picture of what you need offshore, near shore, and everywhere else. So I want to talk first about the offshore capabilities. So our signature vessel is what we call the Hoss barge. This vessel's a beast, 172 by 52 foot wide. It's got a helicopter platform, living quarters for 16, 4,000 barrels of storage. You can see on the lower left there, those are brush skimmers that you lower into the water. Brush skimmers are very, very efficient at what they do. This vessel has performed very well over the years, not too often, because the majority of incidents that occur are very sporadically, but this is a very capable machine, built in 1984 specifically for a well blowout. This is a good example of what it looks like in its fully rigged out condition. This was an accident that happened on the Mississippi River where a tank barge was T-boned by an outgoing vessel at the Crescent City Connection and spilled oil for about a month. And so the Hoss barge was brought in. You can see that you have boom fully extended. Takes 3 tugs to hold it in place, 1 on the stern, 2 to hold the boom. That's approximately 660 foot of boom on either side. We can actually extend that out to 1,320 feet each side, but you get the idea. It's to catch oil, comes down the throat like a pitcher to a catcher, and the brushes will clean up the oil and put it into a sump where it's stored for whatever you're going to do afterwards. This is the Hoss barge in action during the MC-252 incident. Hoss barge recovered roughly 40,000 barrels of oil, which is a significant amount of oil in the offshore environment. One of the other key features is it also is outfitted with an X-band infrared camera to post Macondo edition. That allows us to do 24-hour operation. We have other vessels as well, but on the horse barge, it's very important to have. So let's move on to another piece of equipment. In addition to the horse barge, we have 22 rigid sweeping Cossack arms. These things are huge. They're about 50 foot wide, 8 foot high, 8 foot deep, weigh 5 tons each. It's a North Sea asset. They would be deployed on a vessel of opportunity, a very large vessel of opportunity. Essentially, it's put out to the side by a crane and then lowered into the water. Now, the whole system's modular. That's the beauty of it, is these vessels have their own deck space and they need it in order to conduct their business. But in the event there's a big incident, it could be easily converted into an oil spill response vessel. So we thought it would be a nice adaptation to bring to the Gulf of Mexico, as it has proven capability in the North Sea. Basically what it was an animation. I wanted to show the key feature of, oh, it's going, there we go. The key feature is that it's kind of like a Lego set. Everybody grew up with Legos. Well, you have a 20-foot container and a 40-foot container, and then that crane inside of the container, and the Cossack arm. And what you have to do is build that set, like an erector set, on a vessel of opportunity. And it allows us to basically optimize a pre-engineered system onto a vessel. And these days, these vessels are huge, and so it's very helpful to be able to do that. We have a dozen of these modular systems that we can deploy on vessels. The other important thing is it's a, can you go one more slide? Oh, there we go. So this is what it looks like. This was during the MC-252. The oil can become very heavy once all the lighter ends burn out. And so it's important to get in the oil and then to have the ability to contain it and to pump it, because it's very hard to pump highly viscous oil. So we have systems set up ready to do that. So that we can either put a weir skimmer in or a brush skimmer, 2 different types of skimming devices in the recovery world. A weir skimmer floats on the surface and tries to get to that oily water interface, takes in a lot more water, but a lot of the oil as well. Brushes are incredibly efficient, and you recover most of the oil. So I do want to make a quick point about vessels of opportunity. A lot of people think of fishing vessels as vessels of opportunity. For us, that would not be the appropriate resource we're looking for. We want the petroleum industry dedicated vessels. These are the Coast Guard certificated, ABS class vessels with licensed captains on board, huge capability. Some of these vessels get up to 310 foot. Those are the type of platforms we're looking for to put these rigid sweeping Cossack arms. So we keep track of these vessels. Because Clean Gulf has 95 member companies, virtually everybody in the Gulf of Mexico, our board has approved that in crunch time when we need vessels, they'll all agree to work to share vessels so that you can move one contract to another company so that that vessel can become an operating spill response resource. So how do we do that? We have a contract with Port Vision, so we keep track of all the vessels in the Gulf at any given point in time. We know what their capability is. We can identify them, so when there's an unannounced exercise that are routinely put upon us, we can quickly identify these vessels for our member company to put our equipment on. In addition, we have a 180-foot ocean-going boom barge. This is a post-Macondo idea that came to fruition. Essentially, rather than having your boom in a in a warehouse parked far, far away, that logistically takes an unbelievable amount of time to get there, let's just have a boom barge with 25,000 feet of boom on board, and all you need to do is call a tug and get out to sea. So in the lower left there, you can see that that's what it would look like. You have vessels that would have 2 500-foot strands of boom, and we have basically a chain link gate that holds the 2 pieces of boom together. It serves as a funnel. We have 50 of these gates, so that the idea is that with a big swath width, if you're in the oil, that oil will funnel back to you to the trailing skimmer, and you can recover oil much more efficiently and effectively. So that kind of takes care of the offshore. Let's talk about nearshore. So our new secret weapon that's kind of maybe our most used resource as of late is our 95-foot fast response vessel. These aluminum constructed, Coast Guard certificated, overnight accommodations for 6. Rapid, can go 20 plus knots, has 249 barrels of storage, has side mounted skimmers, Lamore brush skimmers on them that ramp up and go down the side of the vessel. These are very pretty neat assets. They're very fast. We love them. Now that whenever there's a potential incident, if we get right now or later in the day, rather than wait for a first light flight tomorrow to check it out, we can roll these vessels underway because it can be on scene rapidly, and they can assess the situation and provide awareness on what the spill, what the status of the spill is. So we have 4 of these in the inventory, pre-positioned throughout. One of the key things they have is the X-band infrared camera. These are pretty neat systems because they're gyro stabilized, geo-referenced. You can essentially keep track of the oil at night. The X-band radar picks up oil on the surface of the water. Oil has a different dampening effect than regular capillary action of waves. So it picks it up as a signature, sends it through software to the infrared camera, and then the infrared camera can figure out the relative thickness of that oil. Allows us to stay in the oil 24/7. So this is a post-Macondo improvement. So this is what it looks like in the infrared. We have the display, the electronic chart display that we know where we're at and what it looks like. So a lot of companies, and the regulators both want to know what's going on. We can provide pictures, video back to the command post to let them know what's going on. Pretty neat stuff. Also with those vessels that we just got through installing these gyro stabilizers. These are pretty neat pieces of equipment. This gyro stabilizer weighs about 2 tons. It's in a sphere and almost a perfect vacuum. We installed it on the stern of the 95-foot vessel. And what it does is it precesses. So the theory of principle of angular momentum, I know you're all up on your physics. What happens is as the vessel rolls, it provides instant counter torque so that the vessel doesn't roll. So basically it has reduced our roll period by 65%, which is pretty remarkable for an aluminum vessel that's small, that goes offshore and is subject to wind and waves. So it provides a lot more stability. The captains like it because they don't get seasick. And it actually becomes a more stable skimming platform. So pretty neat piece of equipment that we have. In addition, we have 9 portable skimming units. One of the things you see about Clean Guff is we have a mix of the type of resources. Some are dedicated, ready to get underway. Some we need the vessels of opportunity. We need 9 vessels in order to run our fast response units to get on scene. These are portable skimming devices that you can use a weird type skimmer. So let's talk a little bit inshore now. So we've got the offshore covered, we've got the nearshore covered. So inshore, because oil moves where oil is going to move. Eventually it's going to come ashore in a marsh, on a beach, in a canal, in the waterway. So you need to be ready in conditions where you don't have the proper draft. You need shallow water vessels. So this is our 56-foot shallow water vessels. They're fast, 350 horsepower outboards on the back. That's what it looks like. It's got a front end conveyor belt type system that's used. And basically, you can see that when you get oil in a marshy, inaccessible type environment, the 56-footer only draws a couple feet of water. So that's good in order to get in there and to have that kind of storage. What's unique about them is it's got, cover. It's got it's got a cabin and air conditioning. All of that's very, very important. So that's, and then on top of the 56, we got even something more modern, which is a 60-foot shallow water skimmer. This provides a little more of a capability in that we can come out of the passes in the Louisiana area or even Texas area, get out in the open water, come around and attack spills should they occur in the shallows that are very inaccessible, but you have to get a boat around to it. A couple foot of draft. You can see they've got brush skimmers. These things got a bimini top. They've got a cabin. It's air conditioner. You got a bathroom. It's very important for people who are responding. On some of the smaller assets, you don't always have that. So everybody has to come back to the dock quickly. High storage, high speed, 249 barrels, very, very important asset for us. So that kind of covers the majority of the type of mechanical recovery equipment. We also have the dispersants and the burning, which I know is going to be covered this afternoon. So I'm not going to hit on that. But I did want to make a point that we do have one of the best wildlife rehabilitation capabilities in the Gulf of Mexico, mobile capabilities. The idea is that wherever there's a spill, we can mobilize our trailers. My partner over here, Frankie Palmisano, he's done a masterful job over the years of putting together a capability that we can bring on scene for the wildlife experts, such as IBRCC, Tri-State, WRA, for them to come in and to do what they need to do best, which is clean the birds. And that's what we do. We set it up for everybody so that they can clean the animals. So one of the things, we're pre-positioned, which is important to know, throughout the Gulf of Mexico at 8 different sites. And this allows us to get a rapid response out. Our goal is to get a resource on scene within 6 hours. Very hard goal to meet, maybe other than the hinterlands of Texas. We can pretty much do that if given good notification. And that's a self-imposed goal. So that's it in a nutshell. It's kind of a quick and dirty overview of Clean Gulf. If anybody has questions, please stop by and let me know. Thank you.